All right, guys. So we just got done talking about the Civil War, and we already know kind of a little bit about what the United States looks like after the Civil War. So the first thing that we should be able to recognize is that we're going to look at the United States following the Civil War in three different arenas. Arena one is the South. The South we've already looked at. We know after the Civil War that we introduced a period or entered a period known as Reconstruction, the rebuilding and guidelines set for the South following the Civil War, so they could then get put back into the United States. All right, to reconstruct something, to rebuild it. So while all that is going on, which we talked about in the last unit, we need to understand that the North and the West are now. There are a lot of things that are still going on. The United States is growing. The idea of manifest destiny has been completed. So first, the North. What occurs in the North? We have a revival of industrialization and technology. So what does that bring? It brings a lot of money. Money is going to be brought into the northern parts of the United States. So, and it's going to be because of industrialization, new improvements in Thomas Edison, improvements in the technology we looked at prior. This is the industrialization where we include the plug. Okay. Prior to the Civil War, we look at industrialization as the cotton gin. We have machine, we have the steam engine, which is producing it. Now we're going to see the plug introduced, electricity being harnessed and used in factories. The second is we're going back to the West. And ever since we've talked about manifest destiny and moving west, we look at expansion. And then, of course, expansion causes conflict because you run into somebody. And that's going to be Native Americans. So what we need to identify is that there are two terms that are directly tied to each other, cause and effect. So prior to the, in the middle of the Reconstruction and up until really there's some overlapping time period to the 1900s. Some say the late 1900s. You can see here, we see the Gilded Age and the Progressive Era. So first, we talk about the Gilded Age. And the Gilded Age, and Gilded just pretty much means gold on the outside and rotten on the inside. And that's exactly what is going to describe the U.S. under that time period. On the outside, people are going to say, wow, look at the United States, look at the industrialization, look at the expansion. But we're going to see some internal issues. And the response to all those problems that we see during the Gilded Age is going to be known as the Progressive Era. We're going to try to improve. We want to keep the gold on the outside, but we want to improve, we want to progress, and we want to improve on the things that are negatively being associated with the United States and that are rotten on the inside. So we want to progress, we want to move forward. Now, so what we're going to kind of identify that as is the problem and the solution. The problem that occurred during the Gilded Age, and then the solution is going to be progressive. Now, you're going to be doing an assignment that goes a little bit more in detail into the Gilded Age, but this is just a overview of everything that you're going to be reading about. So, first, the problem, okay, is industrial workers have a problem. They have terrible working conditions. They have long hours. They have low wages. Child labor is being used. And the conditions in which that we can identify as is sweatshops. So the U.S. during this time period had sweatshops. And what they look like is, if you see the image here, you can see cramped, dirty, crowded positions, managers over each individual, just really a unclean, unsafe working environment. So you would not see something like this in today's world. And it's because of the responses we're going to see during the Progressive Era. So the response, guys, is we're going to see the American Federation of Labor, which is a labor union group of people come together, fight for a cause. And they're the same group, workers, teachers. As teachers, we have teacher unions. So like if we feel like as a whole that, they're doing something wrong to us, we as a whole, we want wages to improve, we could go and get involved in a union. We don't have to join one. Now, the leader of the one union you need to identify is Samuel Gompers. And so they're going to advocate for state and federal laws. Guys, this, you know, you may not think this, but doors, sprinkler systems, sweatshops are going to catch on fire. They're going to lock doors and make it unsafe, and people are going to die tragically. So these are things that people like the AFL were working for. So, and we're going to watch a video where you can see where the triangle shirtwaist fire kind of exposes, and it's going to bring to a head the issue. Now, the other issue that you're going to read about is big business and monopolies. People like John D. Rockefeller. Now, it's the Gilded Age, and you'll see two sides of them. However, the negative side is the one we're kind of focus on, and they were ruthless business owners who were going to do whatever it means to succeed. They were going to pay lower. They're going to force people out of business. They were going to build monopolies, meaning gaining control of a single company. And then once they had single control of it, eliminate competition, and then you can charge whatever you want because you're the only person. Mono, one. So the response to that is going to be muckrakers. And these muckrakers are exactly what they say they are. They are investigational journalists who are going to look in, research. They're going to use rakes, figuratively, and they're going to rake up all the muck, okay, the nasty stuff, and they're going to expose it. And the one raker that you need to know is a lady by the name of Ida Tarbell. Ida is going to write a series of articles known as the History of the Standard Oil Company. And her writing is directly going to lead to the breakup of the Standard Oil Company. Now, problem number 3, we are seeing over-farming and over-hunting. We are seeing a major devastation of wildlife. And now this is where we see kind of a couple schools of thought. School of thought when it comes to the environment are a business approach, okay? Laissez-faire approach should be allowed to do as they wish with public lands. Well, we know that's not going to be the case because we can go to local parks now and see that they've been conserved. Well, there's a reason why. Environmentalists. So there's one extreme business, environmentalist on the other end. Nature was sacred and human beings were intruders. That's not going to be the approach. The approach that we're going to see people take are going to be the conservationist approach. Nature should be used, but it should also be protected at the same time. And so one of the biggest things we're going to see during this time period is President Theodore Roosevelt is going to push the conservation. He's going to conserve natural lands, the beauty of what the United States has, and he's going to create and conserve Yellowstone and Yosemite National Park. And you can kind of see here that designated before 1901 are the yellow. So this is before 1901. There was certain land that was being set aside to conserve. But then we can see between Theodore Roosevelt's presidency, we can see that there is a number of, there is a lot more land added. I mean, you look up here at Idaho, almost 50% of Idaho is public lands. You can see Northern California, you can see Washington State, you can see Colorado, probably 1/3 of Colorado is designated to public lands. So, and this is just federal government owned territory, federal parks. So this was an issue as well that people in the West were kind of seeing. So this is going to be the first part of these notes. If you have any questions, please let me know, and always remember to smile because it's contagious.